Hello and welcome to the Star Forward Solutions with Vickie Owens. Today we're going to be talking about personal finance and protection, and I'm really excited. Hello, Vickie.
Hello, Marion. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. It's a
Yeah.
good day. It's kind of like our inauguration of my show for 2021. Been away for a little while, but let's kick it back off for 2021 and just kind of like go in a not a different direction, but same direction. But we're gonna focus on different things. I'll just put it like that. So
We're
we've
going to
been
focus on the important things.
yes, exactly. It's all about for me. It's all about protecting people and basically caring for people and getting them the right information. So that's what I'm here to do to
Now,
make sure people know what they need to know.
2021, you're still a senior benefits consultant and financial advisor, right?
Yes, yes. I'm still. I
All
mean,
right.
everything. Nothing has changed as far as that. My business is the same. But I think I need to probably people get the title Star Force Solutions. What solutions are you providing? And mostly we talked about senior solutions and health, and health solutions and things like that. And so I wanted to kick off the year letting them know I don't do just that. I do more than that. I do personal protection for you yourself. In other words, I cover everything. And what as far as solutions are concerned, it would be your finances, your protecting your family, like in life insurance, tax benefits, and retirement, preparing for retirement. Really focus on those things, and of course, healthcare and Medicare. So it will be senior solutions as well as retirement, financial solutions, and getting you prepared for retirement, things like that. So those are all the things that I cover. And today, what my focus is going to be truly on, kind of giving you an overview of your personal finance and protection as for a family. Just an overview, not the whole picture, but an overview of what you need to protect yourself, especially in the environment we're in right now. I think everybody knows that one, we need healthcare, and we also need, because we've had so many things that have not been planned, and that's what this is all about, as far as protecting yourself, and your family for these things that you weren't expecting. A lot of people have lost loved ones, in the last year due to COVID, and it's heartbreaking when you see these things happening and people weren't prepared, and you have to do GoFundMe to do funerals and things like that. And so you really need to protect yourself, and the time to protect yourself is really now, because you just never know. No one is guaranteed tomorrow. And so we need to protect ourselves in all manners through illness and things like that. We'll talk about that.
Vickie, I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
You just brought up a big elephant in the room. I can see this big elephant. And one of the questions I had, and I've never had anybody to ask, is what happens if you don't have the right health insurance and you do get COVID?
Well, it was kind of shown that if you didn't have, well, if you had health insurance, unfortunately, you're going to be seen first. You know, people, what was being reported to us in my business was that people without health insurance they were seen, but they weren't first. In other words, they weren't. If they came into the emergency room, they treated them. They treated them based on what their what their care, what they as far as their care, because they have to treat them. But when you have hundreds of people in line, the ones they looked at, does he have health insurance? Does she have health insurance? Okay, they're over here. People who don't have health insurance are over here. Unfortunately, that's how it was. So you really need to make sure you have health insurance. And
Oh, I so agree.
so
So those people,
they were seen, but I'm just saying they didn't have priority.
no, I totally agree with that. And I heard that on the news. They didn't quite say it the way you did, but
Hmm.
they said, they were going to have to try to make decisions on who was going to be treated and who was going to have to wait until another bed showed up. So I would imagine, not that there's, anybody like a mean person at the hospital, but bottom line is they run on money. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
so,
mean,
sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I have one next door, so I'm just waiting for him to start barking. Not a problem. Not a problem. Understand.
Well, that's one of the problems we have. We are all working from home, right?
Yep, we're all working from home, so that's too. You didn't have a naked baby running across the back, so So just think about that. Some people have been on news, and here come their children, and naked. Mommy trying to get them in the bathtub.
That's so true.
So your dog barking is minor.
They're making fun of us, but it's the way it is now. And that's one of the things that we have to think about is if we don't have the right insurance, we might not get seen, or we might get seen too late.
Yes, exactly. Too late. So yeah, and that's the other thing. I really want to talk about is, protecting protecting yourself. You have to have healthcare. You have to make sure you have all the types of protection in place. Health insurance is one. Life insurance is another. Critical illness type of thing. Disability. There's so many things that you have to look out for in protecting you and your family. I talk about disability, critical illness, or terminal illness, or whatever. COVID basically falls into the illness category. And at the end, we hope everybody survives, but a lot of people didn't. You think about how many people lost their lives doing that, and they left their families in a. They might have been that person that was lost. If they didn't have things in place to protect their families, they would be, their families is like scrambling. Okay, how am I going to survive without my spouse, who was probably was 50% of our income, or the main source of our income? What do you do? What do you do if they haven't done what they were supposed to do as far as protecting their family? And so one of the things that people need to know is life insurance is just as important as health insurance. A lot of people put that on the side and like, oh, I'll get some, eventually, but it's not a priority. It is a priority. People understand that it is a priority, and you really should look into making sure you are protected and your family is protected. Having to go do some, your loved ones having to go do a GoFundMe is not. That's really not right, because if you just put something in place for those type of situations, then that wouldn't happen. So that's when I talk about protections and finding solutions to those type of things. Life insurance is the biggest way, and there's so many different ways, different types of life insurance. You don't have to go out there and get this $500,000 policy all in one chunk. You do it in different segments, and we want to talk about how much life insurance should you have. The rule of thumb for the amount of life insurance that you should have is 10 times your income. Plus, if you have kids, $100,000 per kid. Because
you mean per year? Income per year?
Yes, annual income. So 10 times your annual income that's the rule of thumb. That's not the perfect way to do it, but that's the rule of thumb. Plus, if you have family, if you have children, add $100,000 per child. Okay, because you want to make sure when you leave this world, whenever that happens, that you protect the loved ones and that you don't leave them in a lurch. Our parents, our generation, parents, that was one thing that they always did, was they made sure that their families were protected. Life insurance is vital to them. And for some reason or another, we've gotten away from that, and people put, life insurance on hold. So, but there's a formula that we use, is called DIME. When I say we use, in the financial, those of us who are in the financial planning business, retirement planning business, protecting people, protecting families and individuals, it's called DIME, and it's basically You look at your debt and your and final expenses, what it's going to cost to pay off all your debt, what it's going to cost to bury you. Okay, that's considered the D in dying. Okay, the I is income. Income is you look at what your income, what your income is, and what hole you're going to leave for your family. Okay, so how are you going to replace that income when you're gone? Okay, if you have a mortgage, okay, if you have any, if you have a mortgage, the M is really for mortgage. So you want to make sure to be able to pay off your mortgage. Most people, when they buy a home, the mortgage company requires you to have some type of life insurance to pay the debt off anyway. Yes, yeah, that's true. you know, basically they want you to, if something should happen to the main person who has the mortgage debt, they want that person to be covered by some type of life insurance. So the debt will be paid.
I didn't know that. That is very interesting.
That's hand in hand, hand in hand. And then the E is for education, being able to uh, pay for your children's education down the line. Okay, so you should always have someone come in and do a dime analysis on you and your family. You might not be able to get the total amount at that particular time, but you want to get something. You definitely want to get something to protect yourself and your family. Biggest thing is protecting your family. You want your family in a lurch. They're already hurting because they just lost you, but now when you go, you have to think about you're no longer there, and you provided something for for your family. So those are
When
things you need to think
when my
about.
father passed, he had the type of insurance that paid off his mortgage. Is
Hmm.
that something that you handle?
Yeah, that's big. I mean, when you get a mortgage, any type of what it pays off is usually your life insurance is tied into that. Okay, okay. So it's either you can, and let's talk about the different types of life insurance. There's term, which is there's no cash value added. There's no accumulation of money. It's just you're covered for a period of time. It's like having a car insurance. It's like you're paying for this insurance if something should happen over a period of time. So you can get 10, 20, 30-year term policies. Okay, they're the usually the least expensive ones. The younger you are, of course, the lower risk you are to insurance companies. So the younger you are, your premiums are going to be lower for your um, for your protection. And term insurance basically is the least expensive of all life insurances out there. Okay, when you're looking at the cost. The other type of insurance is called permanent insurance, and there are like three different types of permanent insurance. You're going to have whole life, universal life, and index universal life. So, and then you have variable. I forget. You have the index and the variable kind of fall into that, but it's term and then permanent. And then on the permanent side, it's whole life and and universal life. And it can be either index universal life or just universal life. Okay, and so those are the different
Well, I'm
types of
glad
life
you're
insurance.
explaining them because, we probably all heard those terms, but we don't know what they mean.
Right,
Like I've
right.
heard of term life, but I didn't realize it was, just for a certain term. I mean, it makes sense now that you say
Yeah,
that. And then
yeah.
for permanent, so can you tell us what whole life means
Okay.
versus?
So with on the permanent side, that means that there is no ending to the life insurance as long as you're paying your premiums. Now it can be structured. Each type of permanent insurance can be structured a different way, and that's something that's going to be on an individual basis as far as sitting down and going through. And that's on the financial advisor you're working with, the agent that you're working with. They should know how to structure the policy based on your needs and what you're looking for in the outcome. Because with life insurance, you can use life insurance for a lot of different aspects. It could be for retirement. You can basically use life insurance for planning your retirement. It can be specifically just for protecting your assets. It can be used for education, educational funding, because with permanent life insurance, you're going to have cash value. Your the premiums that you're putting into the policy, not only they're providing you a death benefit, but they're also accumulating cash. So some people, many people, especially the ones who are on the wealthy side, use life insurance to as a sort of like a savings account in a way, except you have a bigger and better return on your investment with life insurance. And I could do a whole hour or so on life insurance
I
and how
want
you
you
can
to,
use it.
Vicki. Would you please put that on your calendar? Because, yeah, no, really, I think it's important. This is stuff that we're not talking about when we're young. Our parents don't talk to us about it. We have to kind of look at it, from, a different perspective as we
Right.
grow up. And no one's talking about it. So could you please explain that? I know today we don't have time,
We don't have the
but
time today, but I mean,
right,
we
put it
can.
on your calendar.
I could do segments on it. We can talk about you know whole life versus universal life, or you know uh, doing that kind of aspect. We can do that. Because actually, for our next um, session next week, I wanted to do a little bit of that. Talking about using life insurance for retirement. Using retirement, getting your tax benefits. You can get tax benefits with life insurance as well, because you can set it up. Like I said, it's all about structuring the policy that's going to benefit your family. So it's a great avenue for that's one tool you can use in retirement. But you get the big thing about life insurance is that you're of course it's life insurance so to protect you and you have a death benefit for your loved ones. But it does accumulate cash value, so while you're living, you can still your life insurance policy can benefit you prior to your death. While you're living, you can get benefits from your life insurance policy. And getting a life insurance policy on a child is very good, because if you do it while they're very young, it accumulates value over time, and that could be a part of their educational funding. If it's structured right. So there are different things that can be done using different types of life. Not all of you can't do that with all of them. Okay, you have to know which ones you could do it with. And every company, every life insurance carrier, insurance company, their policies, their products are going to be different. So you have to find the right one that's going to fit your needs. And that's why you have to have an advisor, somebody to come in and help you with that, because to understand how it all calculates together and everything like that. You can't do that on your own. It's just like going to court trying to defend yourself in a murder trial, and you have no idea about you have no idea about the law. So
I say
don't
don't do it.
you don't
Just don't do
don't
it. Okay.
don't do it. Just don't do
Call
it.
Vicki for your insurance and call a lawyer for any court appearance.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is, it's all about protection. Is that while we're living, we, things can happen. We can become ill, in different manners. We can have different illnesses. Some people have chronic illnesses, some have terminal illnesses, and some have critical illness. You want to be able to protect yourself in that manner as well. Okay. For your family, because while you're ill, if you have a terminal illness, you know, um, your family has to plan again on, what they're going to do without you. Okay. But while you're still living, you know, you don't want to be a burden, so to speak, to your family while you're, basically trying to, uh, you know, move on. If you have a terminal illness, you want to be able to provide for them in that time, as well as having the funds to be able to help you during that period of time. I know with Medicare, they you hear about hospice and things like that, so that on the health side that can help. But if you're not a Medicare recipient, that might not be the best avenue for you. So you need to look at insurance policies that cover critical illness, terminal illness, and chronic illnesses, because when you have those type of situations, it's going to be more than just health insurance. It's going, people who have cancer, for example, the cost for cancer treatment is expensive. You could, when you think about uh, people, I mean, just think about someone that you possibly know that has a critical illness, and this, the treatment and the cost that they have to endure to be able to treat this illness. It's not cheap. It really, you can go bankrupt, just trying to take care of medical bills. And we hear about it all the time, just taking care of medical bills because of a specific illness, whether it be cancer or whether you're on dialysis, or it just is. It can, the financial part of that process can be overwhelming, to many people. So you have to look at uh, protecting yourself with that. Now there are life insurance policies that include those type, other words, protections. So you want to take advantage of, when you are looking at protecting your family and yourself with life insurance. You also, some policies also include a living benefit type of protection that will protect you against critical illness, terminal illness, and chronic illnesses, where they provide a certain portion of your life insurance to cover the expense. It just really depends. So these are all the different things that um, everyone should be aware of. Um, in moving forward, as far as it's a new year, you should really think about these type of things and protecting yourself, because, like I said, we're not promised tomorrow. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So I always, my thing is protect yourself, and do the things that you need. Take care of the things you really need to take care of when it comes to you and your family. So. But like I said, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Did I miss anything?
I don't think you missed anything, but I would like it if you could go diver deeper into some of the terms that we hear that we don't really understand. Like I said, we understand, we're supposed to have life insurance, but who knew you could use part of the money now when you're still, you're still
Well,
alive?
like I said, this is just kind of an overview to give you an idea that there are other things, because, like I said, each subject matter could be an hour. I mean, it could take an hour to explain how this all works. I wouldn't say a total hour, but and every person is different. So all the plans should be structured toward an individual. But for example, you have a family of four. The breadwinner is I'll just use typical example. Breadwinner, is maybe 35, 40. Well, I'll just say 40 years old or whatever. Uh, you know, their salary is $75,000. And annual 75,000. Well, if that person leaves, or is no longer with that family, and they have two kids, then that's a gap one of $75,000. They don't have an income. Say the spouse was a stay at home person that took care of the kids or whatever. Well, now that spouse has to figure out, how am I going to cover the $75,000? Plus, we have a mortgage of $400,000. And I have my young kids. They're little. They're not even teenagers yet, so I have to plan for their future. Down the line in say 15, 20 years, as far as their education and what they're going to do. So you kind of if we just did the rule I told you about, uh, the 10th, doubling your income by 10, for the amount of insurance, that probably wouldn't be enough. Think about it, it wouldn't be enough, because they have a mortgage of what, $400,000 mortgage. They have two kids. $100,000 for each one of those. That's $200,000, $400,000 mortgage. So you already have $600,000 basically in, so to speak, debt that has to be covered. You know, um, when I think I had a colleague that used to say, $1 million in life insurance will barely cover a family of four, just because of the debt that they're going to have to pay off, replacing the income, taking care of the kids going forward. So one of the things I want to say though is that when you have that when you calculate your dime, um, you shouldn't just look at, a lot of people get overwhelmed because there's a lot, but you can do it in different, you can basically structure it different ways. You can have, say, $250,000 in permanent life insurance, and you can add term life insurance to that to cover the gap. So you can do different things to structure it based on your income, and your finance and things like that.
Well,
So
let me ask you then, if let's say you're 50 or 60 years old, and your children are grown, and you're ready to start thinking about the next phase of your life. Is it still time to call you and say, I need to go over what I could do for life insurance and
yes,
protection?
because there are different types of life insurance. Like I said, there's term, and then there's permanent. But the I didn't really go into the different permanent life insurance. I said whole and universal, but that whole life insurance could be, can be small policies where, when if you're 60, because the older you get and you haven't gotten life insurance, then it's going to be quite expensive to get life insurance in a big quantity. Okay, $100,000 policy for someone who's 65 is going to be quite expensive for that person, and more than likely, depending on their health, it could be just overwhelming. So uh, the life insurance industry has structured whole life policies to just be set up to cover final expenses. So you can get a small $25,000 policy at age 65 that's going to cover if you haven't gotten life insurance before, if you have never been covered, and you don't have any life insurance, then you want to get a final expense policy to at least cover uh, your funerals and maybe some of your debt, and you can leave maybe something for your loved ones. It's not going to be a lot, but at least it'll cover your final expenses, and cover maybe some of your debt. Most of the
I
time, people who are older have already, that have lived, they don't have kids, kids are out of the house and things like that, and their debt has decreased. Okay, usually you don't have, by that time you're retired, you're in your retirement years, so you usually don't have a lot of debt. And if you do have a lot of debt, you should be getting rid of that debt. You should be
Right.
planning to get rid of that debt. So
Well, I know we're almost out of time, but I wanted to relieve the people, the audience, the people that are watching this show. I want them to know that they can call you and create an opportunity to work with you without any pressure. So, can you give us a little bit about how you would want people to contact you to set up an appointment?
okay, you can either go to my website, you can or you can call me at 713-444-3269. You can email. I think Marion is scrolling my information on the bottom of the screen, but you can email me at vlowens@starforwardsolutions.com
Yes, and
as well.
everything is down below in the
Yes.
comment section.
Yes, but I know if we're if you're listening on a podcast, you can't
Yes.
see that. So again, my number is 713-444-3269. That's my mobile phone. Or you can email me at vlowens@starforwardsolutions.com. And like I said, I at starforwardsolutions.com. That's my website. I also have a Facebook page, Starford Solutions Facebook page, as well as the YouTube channel, which we are here right now. So,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So, but
Well,
yes, if anyone has any questions, just feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be, I won't have any problem. And I do everything virtually now, so we can do a Zoom meeting, or we can do a lot of things on the phone just by
yes,
finding out information with you. But
yes.
We don't have to, in this environment, we don't have to meet face to face. We can do it all through Zoom as well.
That's right. Well, thank you very much, Vickie, for explaining that to us. And I do want you to dive in deeper into these subjects so that we really understand what it is that you're talking about. I know that you're quite knowledgeable, but we have no idea. So thank you. And thank you to the audience for being here with us today. Vickie is here every week talking about the things that matter to us, protection especially, protection for you and your family. And we hope to see you again. Feel
All
free to
right.
join us anytime.
Yes, please. Look forward to it. See
Bye
you.
for now.
Bye bye.